from the exponent. So we have here square of theta multiplied by the derivative of the base sine theta is cosine theta d theta using the chain rule. So for this term here, the a raised to 2/3 minus x raised to 2/3, we substitute now the value of x here, and we would have a raised to 2/3 minus x raised to 2/3 is just equal to a raised to 2/3 minus a raised to 2/3 sine square of theta. And if we are going to simplify this, we factor out the a raised to 2/3, and we have here 1 minus sine squared of theta. So we have here a raised to 2/3, and 1 minus sine squared of theta is cosine squared of theta. For our original equation, this a raised to 2/3 minus x raised to 2/3 will be equal to a to the 2/3 cosine squared of theta. So we have here integral of a raised to 2/3 cosine squared of theta, and we have here the exponent of 3/2. So this is raised to 3/2, and the dx here would be replaced by this term. We have here 3a sine squared of theta cosine theta d theta. But since we change our variable from x to theta, so we have to change our limits from 0 to a to another limit. In order for us to do that, so we have to substitute this limit here. If x is equal to a for the upper limit, so substitute natin dito sa equation na to. So a is equal to a sine cube of theta. So we have here a divided by a is 1 is equal to sine cube of theta. Take the cube root both sides, and we have here 1 is equal to sine of theta. So meaning theta is equal to arc sine of 1. Arc sine of 1 is equal to pi over 2. So meaning the theta is equal to pi over 2. And that would be the upper limit kapalit ng a. If x is equal to 0, so we have to substitute in this equation. So we have here 0 is equal to a sine cube of theta. And 0 is equal to sine cube of theta. Taking the cube root both sides, so we have 0 is equal to sine of theta, and meaning theta is equal to arc sine of 0. So we have here theta is equal to 0. So meaning the lower limit here is still 0. So continue natin yung integration natin, and we simplify this. So we have here the integral from 0 to pi over 2, and a to the 2/3 raised to 3/2 is equal to a. The cosine squared raised to 3/2 is cosine cube. And for the second term here, we have 3a sine squared of theta cosine theta d theta. This is equal to, so for the constant, we have 3a multiplied by a is 3a squared. So factor out na lang natin siya. Limit 0 to pi over 2. So we have here cosine cube and cosine. So this is cosine to the 4th. And we have here sine squared of theta d theta. And this topic is under the integration involving powers of trigonometric functions. So we have here 3a squared, limit from 0 to pi over 2. What we do here is to factor out the cosine square from here, and we have here cosine square of theta, cosine square of theta, sine square of theta d theta. And simplifying this, so we have 3a squared, integral from 0 to pi over 2, cosine square of theta. Then we take out the exponent, so that's cosine theta sine theta square d theta. But if we recall from our trigonometric identities that the sine of 2 theta is equal to 2 sine theta cosine theta. So meaning the cosine theta sine theta is just equal to 1/2 sine of 2 theta. So we now replace this cosine theta sine theta with 1/2 sine 2 theta. And another trigonometric identity, we know that the cosine squared of theta is equal to 1 plus cosine 2 theta over 2. And yun naman yung pamalit natin para dito sa cosine squared of theta. So we have here 3a squared integral from 0 to pi over 2 of 1 plus cosine 2 theta over 2 multiplied by this term here, that's 1/2 sine 2 theta square d theta. So simplifying this, and we have 3a squared 0 to pi over 2, and we factor out this 2 here, so nandun na siya sa labas. We have here 1 plus cosine 2 theta of 2 theta cosine 2 theta to d theta. So we have here 3a squared over 8. Ito ay i-expand natin. So we have here the integral from 0 to pi over 2, and this 1/2 here i-factor out natin. That is d theta minus the integral of, that's 1/2 limit from 0 to pi over 2 cosine of 4 theta d theta plus 1/2, since the derivative of sine 2 theta is cosine 2 theta to d theta, katabi niya yung derivative niya, then therefore we can make use of the general power formula. So n plus 1 over n plus 1 lang, diba? So we have here sine cube of 2 theta over 3. And of course, our limit here is from 0 to pi over 2. So evaluating the integral of our first and second term, so we have here 3a squared over 8 multiplied by 1/2. The integral of d theta is theta minus, as you can see here, we have the angle for theta, and the derivative of 4 theta is 4d theta, so that's 4d theta. So we multiply 4 here and we multiply 1/4 dito sa labas. So that would be equal to 1/8. And the integral of cosine is sine 4 theta. And this one, so we have here 1/6 sine cube of 2 theta with the limit from 0 to pi over 2. We now evaluate the limit, and we have here 3a squared over 8 multiplied by 1/2. Our theta is pi over 2, the upper limit, minus 1/8 sine of 4. The theta is pi over 2 plus 1/6. We have here sine cube of 2 times the theta na pi over 2. Minus the lower limit, that is 3a squared over 8, 1/2. And the theta for the lower limit is 0, minus 1/8 sine of 4, the theta is 0, plus 1/6 sine cube 2, the theta is 0. And if we are going to evaluate the lower limit, as you can see here, we have this is 0. The sine of 0 is 0, so meaning this is 0, and that would make this term also equal to 0. So, simplify natin yung upper limit natin. So, we have here 3a squared over 8 multiplied by pi over 4 minus 1/8 sine of 4 times pi over 2. So, that's 2 pi plus 1/6 sine cube 2 times pi over 2 is pi. And if we are going to evaluate the sine of 2 pi, so using the calculator, we make sure that our calculator is in radian mode. So we have here, so we are now in radian. So to check, dapat nandito.